Welcome to Curious Goldfish, a podcast community where music and curiosity come together through interesting conversations with the music makers of our world. I'm your host, Jason English. You can find Curious Goldfish in all the major podcast and social media platforms, and of course, we have all of our content on our website, curiousgoldfish.com. Hey, Greg. Thanks for your time.
Hey, Jason. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. It's Saturday morning in the middle of Americana Fest. This is your first one.
Yep.
Being an artist, and you have a new album out?
Yeah, just came out a week ago.
It's called No Kings in the Wild.
Yes,
right?
sir.
All right. Well, congrats on that.
Thank you.
We'll get to that. A few other just kind of questions. So we're at a festival. I guess if you had the authority to sort of put a lineup together, 3 or 4 acts in an evening at a music festival.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Out of anybody living,
Anybody?
dead?
Yeah.
Well, you got to put Prine in there. He's the best.
Okay. Yeah.
I've seen him a handful of times before he passed.
St. Prine. I think you referenced that in one of your songs, right?
Yeah. Worship at the altar of St. Prine. Yeah. I don't know. I love kicking it off with something lyrics.
Yeah.
Singer-songwriter, but. And I also love rock and roll, so I've seen I don't know, Petty would be on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's all just dead guys.
It would be epic.
Yeah. Yeah, no, me and some buddies were talking about how a lot of the legacy acts and stuff now, it's like we don't really have any interest in seeing any of them because we don't want it to tarnish. Like Dylan played up in Boston last week, and apparently it was not very good. And you just want to you don't want that to wreck, what you think of them. You know what I mean?
Be the memory, yeah.
Yeah. Springsteen.
Okay.
Big Springsteen fan.
Are these some of your influences?
Definitely.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. And Sturgill.
All right.
I love Sturgill. Man.
Okay.
He's the best. He's the coolest guy. Have you seen any of them? This run he's doing right now.
No.
It's his band is so tight.
Oh man.
Yeah, real rock and roll. It's leaning more rock and roll than country stuff. It's real cool.
Okay.
But yeah, throw those guys together. That's a nice time.
I mean, probably $100 at least.
Oh yeah. Oh definitely.
If you could bring them all back,
I think that'd
be a good deal.
Tell you what I went to yesterday was the Bloodshot Records 30-year anniversary thing, and that was Lydia Lovelace and Watson Twins, J.P. Harris, a couple other folks, and it was just awesome. The lineup was just great. And just in a small little room, it was awesome. That was the best day of music I had.
Nice.
Watching,
Yeah. So when you come to something like this, what was a good outcome for you?
For me, I wanted to just scope it out. This being the first one, I didn't want to have every day something to do. I wanted to kind of wander, and I'd wander into a bar, and 4 people I knew were in there, and I had no idea they were even in town. So that was great, and just the amount of people that are around that you recognize or know, and just kind of chatting. I don't like the schmoozing part too much, but I do like just having halfway decent conversations with people, So.
Yeah, you don't look like a schmoozer.
No.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why I'm not more successful.
It's all good. All right, so you live in Cape Cod.
I do. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Do you ever get ice cream at Four C's? Is that the ice cream shop in Falmouth?
Oh yeah.
It's like the Kennedys. Which one's the Kennedys?
Hyannis is where the Kennedys are. Yeah.
There's this ice cream shop that I went there a long time ago, and there's pictures, crazy pictures of the Kennedys everywhere.
Yeah. That's in Hyannis. That's probably 20 minutes from me or something like that.
Okay.
And
you've been up there a while?
I grew up there.
Yeah.
And then after high school, kind of jumped around a little bit. Was in Providence, Rhode Island, then Boston. Then kind of got sick of the Northeast, so I went down to Austin for 7 years, and then moved back to the Cape a few years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So having been in Austin and then now in Cape Cod, I guess in the music industry, it feels like Austin, Nashville, whatever.
Yeah.
Does it matter where you live? Are there pros and cons?
There's definitely there's definitely some cons, you know, and pros. Like, so music for me, it's like I love, you know, making it. I'm gonna keep making it forever, and but I go through waves. I'm also a furniture builder, so I've got a wood shop on the Cape, and it's like when I was in Austin, it was nonstop, you know, just like constantly music, and then I kind of got burnt out a little bit and kind of took a little bit of a breather, you know. Yeah. And then settled down, got married, then the world shut down. Then I got divorced, and then all of a sudden, I had plenty of stuff to write about, and songs just started coming out, you know. So, but yeah, it's there's definitely there's not much of a music scene where I'm at, like really at all. You know, there's barely songwriters. A couple people, you know, there are musicians around, but there aren't people who wake up in the morning and write songs every day. You know? I do miss that so much, like having conversations with people who do that, and I've been really enjoying that. Seeing some friends here and just chatting and. But like I said, there are musicians. People really appreciate what I'm doing there because there's not a lot of people doing it. So we actually had my album release show at my wood shop last week, and 250 people came out.
No way!
Yeah, it was awesome. And I knew 3/4 of them, so. It was cool. So there's definitely a community that wants it, but it's not like Austin where it's like every night you can see something amazing, or you can play some, you know, wherever. Or my band's called the 1099s because we always had different people in the band, you know. So
that's good.
Yeah. So
and your wood shop is it Narrowland Woodworks?
Narrowland Woodworks. Yeah.
And
a lot of tables and just built bars and restaurants and stuff like that. So
okay.
I've been a carpenter. I was always. I've been a carpenter since I was like 15, and I kind of never was willing to jump in with both feet to music. I always had a day job, like I always like that stability. But now I work for myself, so I can leave for a month, do music, come back, you know, make money. Because it's tough to be. You see some of these guys who are in their 50s and maybe they never really like made it too far and they don't really have a backup or anything, you know, and it was just kind of I didn't want to do that, you know. So
the consistency I'm sure is helpful, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What's your backlog of projects on the furniture? Are you
booked right out?
Now? Yeah, are you booked out?
I got a shitload of stuff to do. I've got a couple custom tables. There's a company up there called the Black Dog. They sell like So I build all their stores. So I build So I build like all their shelving and stuff for their retail stores and things like that. But I build it in my shop. And like last year we opened one in Florida in Sarasota. So we sent everything. I built everything in the shop. Takes about a month maybe. Send it all down. I fly down for 3 days, do the install, and come back.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. You know,
I went to the original Black Dog over 25 years ago.
Oh, at the tavern on the Vineyard?
Yeah, on the Vineyard, And I've seen it kind of spread
yeah,
across the country.
Yeah, they've got 33 stores. I think I've done 14 of them, yeah.
You shouldn't give that up just yet, yeah.
No. So, but they're good folks, and they're kind of a buddy of mine ended up kind of buying the company a few years ago, and he's helped me a lot. It's been awesome. Yeah. And but yeah, they're some of my biggest supporters in music too. So like they get it if I'm.
That's neat.
You know, if I need to split for a little bit. You know, so.
All right.
Yeah.
What's the difference between working with your hands and then lyrics, songwriting, and then playing instruments? Is it pretty much the same sort of process, or is it
it's
completely different?
Well, it's definitely similar. I feel like songwriting for me is kind of more therapeutic, and woodworking is a little bit more like meditative, where it's like,
oh, interesting.
Like you're still using your brain, you're still creating, but I don't know. I need to be making something, whatever it is, and if I'm not doing that, I'm cooking or something. Like I just need to be like, I don't know. But it's I've always been that way, even as a little kid. Like I was just always building tree houses in the woods, and I started playing guitar at like 12, and like I was like, all right, that's it. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So, and I was writing songs, like strumming an open guitar, not knowing how to play, but writing songs, So,
Well, your point earlier is interesting. I've talked to a number of people that have the day job and the music, day job, music,
Yeah.
because of basically what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
And then at some point, a couple I've talked to, like, you have to kind of take the leap,
Yeah,
you know, and
definitely.
and kind of go for it. So, I mean, not that this is against you, but like you're in Cape Cod,
Yeah.
so it'll be much different for you to like take the leap in music
Yep.
based out of there, right?
Definitely,
And then,
yeah.
and then you've got a successful sort of business. So I guess what would it require for you to kind of take that leap, do you think?
I don't know. I feel like I'll know it when I see it. You know,
Mhm.
I'm always open to it. At this point, I'm almost 40. I don't want to. Like I don't want to say I don't want to tour for a couple months, but like if it's the right situation, it has
Yeah.
to make sense. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna jump in the van and go to Topeka for no reason. You know, like.
Don't get me started on Topeka, by the way. We were moving actually to Colorado. This
Yeah.
was 20 years ago. With my family, three young kids, the whole thing, and overnight my minivan got broken into in freaking Topeka, Kansas. So every time I drive out I-70, I give it the finger.
Yeah.
I hate it. I don't know why you mentioned Topeka, but that's so random.
I just thought it was the most random.
I agree
place
with
could
you.
think
Don't go to
of. Yeah.
Topeka. Nothing against Topeka
But
to the listeners out there.
Yeah, the cool thing about the Northeast is you can pop around with only
Yeah.
driving 3 hours. You do Boston, Providence, New York, Philly, all real quick. So it's a little easier. When we were in Austin, we rarely traveled anywhere. We'd go
Right.
out to like little towns in Fort Worth sometimes or Denton, but it's like to get anywhere, it's like you have a day of driving before you're in
Yeah.
another, scene.
Yeah.
But
Boston has a decent folk Americana thing, right?
Yep, definitely. That whole like Cambridge,
Mhm.
that's kind of the scene I was in before I went to Austin. And there's a place called the Lizard Lounge, Toad, and obviously Harvard Square. There's Passim, and it's just there's kind of a lot of like old folkies who love just songwriting and like really kind of very polite, like listen to every word and all that stuff. And that's always nice,
Yeah.
So. But then I also love just playing the rock and roll stuff with the band too, So it's I like being able to do both of those things, That's right.
All right. Well, I need to ask because you mentioned it. So I was married a long time, 25 years.
Yeah.
Got divorced, and you mentioned you went through a divorce, and then the lyrics just kind of flew.
Yeah.
I guess was that expected? Not the divorce, but after that, I mean, it was a lot of people, whether it's grief, anxiety, whatever, they use that as the outlet. Like what was that like? What was the sort of the context? Was it anger? Was it frustration? Was it?
It's kind of everything. It was also during COVID, and this is still early COVID time where no one really knew what was going on.
Yeah.
People are washing their groceries and not seeing anybody, and
Right.
like so it was a lonely time anyway.
It was lonely anyway. Yeah.
And we split up, and then I just started playing, had my guitar, and I luckily enough had something that I could do. Some people who their whole identity is their job, and
Sure.
and they're not working. They, people were depressed as hell, and divorce rate did skyrocket that time. I don't know. Like that was my album Western Medicine, and my album before this one, and it's definitely a bit more. It's definitely a bit more like grief, sadder, but I always try to have some sort of positivity line in there, because
Right.
I don't know, like as much as I love towns and things like that, it's like, it's pretty, some of it's pretty, he says he doesn't write sad songs.
Yeah.
He's like, some of them are hopeless.
Hopeless. Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, some of those are brutal. I have to go through waves with him,
Yeah.
like he's one of my favorite singer-songwriters, but if you listen to a lot of that, it can really bring you down, and I wanted to avoid that. So
I just got a puppy and I named him Poncho.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So just to remind me of that whole thing. No, it's cool. This morning I was getting a coffee and someone was asking me about where I'm from, my story, and everything. And I mentioned the divorce, and she's like, I don't know if to say congratulations or I'm sorry, And it's interesting, right? Everybody has their own different.
I think congratulations.
Right.
Well, I can't remember which comedian it was, but it's like he's like, it's good, like, that's the right situation. It'd be a shame if they were a happily married couple and they got divorced, but no one does that, So
That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right. So if Western Medicine was based on that bit, what's New Kings in the Wild sort of inspired by?
Kind of a bit more just nature kind of overcoming and winning and keeping your ego in check. Just kind of things are bigger than you, and no kings in the wild. Kind of, at the end of the day, you're only here for such a small period of time, and kind of don't sweat the small stuff. Kind of.
Okay.
A lot of that vibe is going on. I feel like I didn't really have that intention when I started writing. That's kind of where my head was at, and then all of a sudden these 8 songs kind of just felt kind of like a cohesive thing, So where I think Western Medicine, it's more of a mixtape. It's kind of all over the place.
Okay.
But this album feels to me a lot more like, obvious. Everybody says it, but like you want people to listen to the whole record, as a piece, and I think the songs benefit if you do it that way,
Because a lot of people are doing the single thing.
And we did release 4 singles out of 8 songs, so over the course of since last April, but then you got guys like Sturgill or Tyler Childers who they announce a record and then they drop it like a week later. But they've got the clout to be able to do that.
Exactly.
But the whole game of, playing to algorithms and all that, it's like that, can drive you crazy.
Yeah. None of it makes sense.
And it could all disappear tomorrow. It could be a completely different industry. Instagram could be gone tomorrow. Look at MySpace. Look at, Twitter's basically gone.
Right.
So it's like, so. And no one even knew what TikTok was like a few years ago, and now people are making millions of dollars shaking their ass to a song on there, so.
People know what end tables are, though.
Yes,
furniture. So like that's consistent and stable. What is the reference to No Kings in the Wild? Is that royalty or is that?
Yeah, just kind of like in the, like the human influence in the wilderness. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, like it's just kind of. I thought it just kind of had a cool ring to it, like there are no real human laws or rules in the wilderness,
Okay.
Where it's just kind of, that's the only rule is like survival, and everything can change at any moment.
Okay.
I just kind of thought it had a cool little ring to it.
Well, speaking of cool little rings, what I love is I don't know where did this come from? Castaways and Ashores.
So. Ashores is a term for people who kind of end up on Cape Cod. And the thing about the Cape, it's funny. There's a lot of artists, but it's kind of a place people go to kind of disappear. Not kind of the way like Key West is a little bit, or like New Orleans or something. Like a place where it just kind of attracts a different type of person. Growing up, we always kind of referred to each other and people who kind of show up there as Ashores and castaways, just kind of people who leave or get run out of town,
All right.
So it's just,
So the Cape, I think people have at least I have the perception of the Cape is there's a lot of money. There's a lot of old money. And things like that. Is that the case? Or
it's definitely, there's a lot of working class, a lot of builders, artists, but there's a lot of money, and it's very expensive to live there. And but it's home for me, so it just kind of was, everything I do is like all my friends. It's all like barter based, and like It's the cool thing is if you bust your ass, you can make $1, but it can get stuffy though, like I don't have any interest to go back to Nantucket or anything like that. It's like it's beautiful, but it's like it. The wealth gap is pretty big. Unfortunately, that's kind of the way a lot of the country's looking these days. But yeah, it can definitely get stuffy.
Okay.
There is this like yearning kind of want for art and music, and that's why I've had so much support being there, and so that's been nice. And my parents are still there, and my siblings and stuff.
So we kind of talked about this in terms of like forks in the road and career choices, whether you go all in or not. But in terms of artistry and songwriting and musicianship, I guess where are you at today? Do you think, no matter what the context is, but like where do you want to be?
I want to be able to play in different towns, and people come to listen to the music, and like it's a great feeling when people know the music. It's not like I'm not looking for that like instant gratification of like the fame part or anything like that, but it's like the community and connection is the most important thing to me. I'm very I like writing songs, and I like when people appreciate songwriting. If I can make a few bucks doing it and figure out ways to do that, that's great. The idea, like I'm always gonna build stuff like forever, whether my business is, maybe I have someone run it or something. Sure. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm open to whatever, basically. I feel like it's one of those things that I'll know it when I see it. And with me not having a concrete plan, I tend to kind of cool stuff falls in my lap sometimes. Okay. Know? And
what's the best thing that's happened to you this year in that regard?
I did a songwriting camp with Steve Earle about a year ago, and Anders Osborne from New Orleans, who has kind of turned into one of my favorite artists, and Sean Colvin.
Oh, nice.
And so there's about maybe 50 people there, and most guys were kind of weekend warrior, like kind of this was their vacation. Their wives sent them, and they're just big like fanboys, but they were great guys. And then, but there was a handful of people at this camp that I really connected with. My buddy Seth Gallant from Maine, who's a really good songwriter, and now he's my bass player. So it's neat. Like, but we got to do this exercise where Steve would tear apart your songs, and like the whole camp is in this old barn up in Upstate New York. And there's a projector with like all the lyrics, and so wow. It can be a little nerve-wracking.
That's pretty vulnerable.
Yeah, totally. And he tore some people up. Like it was pretty funny. I did this song, Seven Sisters, which is on the new album, and I just wrote it.
That's a great song.
Thank you. I'd never played it in front of anybody either. So I was like, if this is gonna be worth it, I'm gonna try something.
Just go for it.
Yeah, just go for it. And he, at the end, in front of I played it, and he said, he said, "These are the songs I'm jealous of," and, and I was like, serious? "Holy crap!" And I was just like floating, like it was really cool.
That should give you some confidence, right?
Yeah, definitely. I don't like to toot my own horn, but that was a pretty big moment in my music career. But it's funny, I did that, and then you played a handful of songs, and everyone's just camping and playing music for 3 days, and then. I end up kind of hitting it off with Anders, the other guy. He plays with like North Mississippi All-Stars. He's been a New Orleans guy forever, and he's probably 60. And I got to do a couple small runs with him and stuff, and that was awesome. He took me on just 4 or 5 gigs, and it was just great. So it just seemed like my trajectory in the last year has been kind of cool because, like I said, I haven't really had a big plan. I knew I wanted to make a record, right. And I got to make I think my best work, and so it's just been kind of cool, like just cool stuff kind of throughout the last year, really.
So in a setting like that, and you probably don't think about it in the moment, but do you think anyone can write a song, or is it?
I think so.
You think so? Yeah.
I think if you put the work in, a lot of people. Yeah, definitely. Something that's really helped me in like every single book on songwriting, or every songwriter who gives advice always says you just got to show up and do the work. So this whole new record was basically recorded written in my wood shop, where every single morning I go in and just from 7 a.m. to like 7:45 I just pick up my guitar and just try to like get even a line,
just put the work in,
just slowly, over the course of few months just kind of chipped away at it, and all of a sudden I had all these songs, and I think if it's like anything, if you put effort into something, you'll get something out of it. A lot of people think you're gonna get that like magic mystic song that falls, and that happens every once in a while, and those are usually some of the better ones, but that doesn't happen often, or at least for me. So.
What of the songs on the new album, what's the one that kind of best represents you, do you think?
I think The Day I Walk Away is pretty self-explanatory. It's just like I always say, it's kind of a these are a few of my favorite things song, and which include my dog, and there's a Spinal Tap reference in there, John Prine, that kind of stuff. So it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but I think you can, if you listen to that song, you can kind of get the idea of what I'm doing, you know. So
Okay.
I Don't Want to Die in San Antonio was the first one we wrote, or I wrote for the record, and that one kind of fell out. That was a good one. You know, so
all right.
Yeah, man.
Well, cool. Well, as you approach middle age, sorry to bring that up, but it's a reality.
It's just a number, man.
I'm on the other side of middle age, unfortunately. But and given what you're doing, all that you're up to, what are you most curious about?
Figuring out how to have the most time and freedom in every aspect of life, basically.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of not letting life become too monotonous. And I'm kind of curious where the record's gonna go. Like, it's been getting a lot of spins, and people have been saying a lot of nice stuff, you know. So if I can get to the point where this record could finance the next record, and then, you know, that would be great, you know. Just kind of figuring that out, and because I want to always make. I love recording music. I love writing music. I love seeing it kind of blossom into what it becomes, you know. And if I could do that with my friends, that's the best, you know. So
is that a different feeling than seeing a piece of furniture that you're delivering? You know,
it's similar. I think I get the same gratification out of it. You know? But I think music, for me, it's a lot more communal. So it's like my drummer I've been playing with since I was 12 years old.
Cool.
We've been, I've known him forever.
That's cool.
And it's cool. Like, he's been in all my bands. He was even down in Austin for a little bit. And it's just kind of like that community part. Like, it's like when I get a cool gig or something, I'm like pumped to tell him, you know, and or when book studio time or whatever. So with furniture, it's kind of, there's not really a ton of surprises. I know what it's going to look like, you know.
Okay.
There is a moment when you finish it that you're like, whoa, this is pretty awesome, especially like a dining room table or something. And the cool thing about that is I used to work in people's houses doing kitchen renovations and things like that. And you're there for 3 months or whatever, and they're looking over your shoulder, and that's, I'm like, oh, I hate that, you know. So I'm in my shop all day by myself. Then the delivery day, you like drop a dining room table off. You're there for 5 minutes. They're stoked, and then you leave.
Yeah.
And you get a check, and you're out of there.
Yeah.
And like, that is great. That's so much better. But
all right.
Yeah, man.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for your time.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Congrats on the new album.
Thank you.
Best wishes for everything.
Thank you.
So appreciate you.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
This song is called I Don't Want to Die in San Antonio. Pushing 40 on 35. Had a smoke, seeing tankies dry. This town has changed, but so have I, believe me. Another night on the company dime. The bourbon's working overtime. Something burns behind those eyes, but it ain't me. I know it ain't me. Golden hour at the LAN, checking out, checking in. I don't know when I'll be back again, but I'm trying. Lord knows I'm trying to get my time in and not just surviving. There's a wreck out on the road to Babylon. Yeah, you keep on keeping me from keeping on. Wish I may, wish I might. Wish on a satellite. I don't wanna die in San Antonio. Diamond dances on the interstate. Another $100 heartache. Broken Spanish on the radio waves, but I'm trying. I only meant half of what I said, but I can't say which half I meant. Forget-me-nots and baby's breath while I'm driving. There's a wreck out on the road to Babylon. Yeah, you keep on keeping me from keeping on. Wish I may, wish I might, wish on a satellite. I don't want to die in San Antonio. Oh, Saint Elizabeth, won't you sing me a Savior song? I could use a little rest and to lay my head till dawn. Now I'm well into bed on the still hill country sun. That you keep on keeping me from keeping on. Wish I may, wish I might, wish on a satellite. I don't want to die in San Antonio. I want to hang around the fountain till my money ain't no good, singing songs until the dawn begins to break. Take my hand to the mountain and walk around in her woods. I want to kick out every window on Broadway. Kick out every window on Broadway. Want to throw my phone in the fucking ocean, spend more than I make, work through every book I should have read, turn my amp up to 11 or at least 7 or 8. I want to hit the strings so hard they raise the dead. Hit the strings so hard they raise the dead. You want to know what I'm about? Well, this is what I'm about. You want to know where I come from? Well, honey, this is where I'm from. I want to build something big, work a job that doesn't end, step back and know every part is right, dirty up my hands, let the sun burn my skin. I want to lay my head beside yours every night, lay my head beside yours every night. I want to cook over the fire, feed my family, water every garden I can find, scream into the twilight and have it yell right back at me. Want to worship at the altar of St. Prime, worship at the altar of St. Prime. You want to know just where I stand? Well, this is where I stand. You want to know where I come from? Well, honey, this is where I'm from. Still got a fire burning, I still got hell to pay. On the day that I quit learning, that's the day I walk away. Oh man, that's the day I walk away.